What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Grant Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we have Steve Wynads, the co-founder and CEO of PeerReputation, a unique relationship and referral-based platform that, among other things, helps brokers know who are the high-quality agents in case they want to recruit them, who are the agents who are serving buyers and sellers the best, and who are the agents that are working on the deals and what do they like. So I'm really excited to learn more about it because relationships matter, all right? That is the key of this industry. And quality matters, especially going in the future and serving the consumer better. So I know there's lots of struggles and hopefully his tech solves it. So thanks very much, Steve, for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Grant.
So why don't you guys let people know your story, before PeerReputation and what led you to it and why'd you start it?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought I'd be here. I'm accidentally a real estate agent. My background is in computer engineering, and my entire life I've been a geek that takes stuff apart, fixes stuff, always applied technology to things. So I got my computer engineering degree and did what most people on the East Coast do. They get their consulting jobs, they become managers, and that's pretty much it. You're supposed to have kids, live out your life, retire. But then somewhere along the way, things change. And I got into real estate when I bought and sold my first house, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? How much money are these people making for what are they doing? I know more than everyone. Why is this happening? And so I went on this journey where I learned as much as I could about real estate agents and the industry. I read scholarly articles. I went really deep into this hole to the point that I started kind of consulting for people, not for fee or anything. I wasn't getting paid, so I wasn't breaking any rules, but I was telling everyone everything I knew about real estate to the point that they said, Steve, you should get your license. And for 2 years, I said, no. Then I finally got my real estate license, and I've been helping people ever since, and then created this startup, PeerReputation, from there.
So what are some of the problems that you saw in the industry from the outside looking in?
Yeah, as an outsider, so this is taking me back way before where I am now, where I love the industry and I'm trying to make it better because I see what's going on. The problems I saw on the outside is that as a consumer, I knew more about real estate than most agents. And then I learned about the rules that hamstrung agents from providing more value that I wanted, like the information that they can provide due to fair housing or things like that. And so just the ability for agents to help me get what I needed was lacking. And so that's why I jumped in, to make sure that my friends and family that I cared so much about were well protected in the whole transaction, because the transaction is so monstrous. And you do need a real professional to help you through it. And so I wanted to make sure that they had the full support that I felt like I didn't.
What are some of the restrictions that agents have that prevent them from adding more value?
Yeah, very sensible things. They put you can't talk about schools, right? And as my wife and I, we were planning on having kids. We're like, let's make sure we're in a good school district. And they're like, oh, we can't talk about that. I want to be in a low crime area. Can't talk about that. So a lot of the characteristics around the neighborhood that you want to buy into, the neighbors you want to be around, hey, we're going to have kids. Are there kids in this neighborhood? Can't talk about that. And so
Still to this day?
To this very day, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do agents get around that?
Well, we can, so I'm an agent myself. We're allowed to provide resources to help the agents help the consumers do their own homework.
Got it.
And that's why I think a lot of the sites exist too, that show a lot of this information that agents can't say, but they're resources that consumers can use to find out if they're getting what they're looking for.
Where is there a list of all the things that realtors can't say?
Oh, I think you'd have to Google that. I probably have it in a bookmark somewhere, but I've long since stashed that away. Now I'm just focusing on okay, what can we do?
Yeah.
Let's make that so much better.
Okay, so what led you to starting PeerReputation? What is the problem that you were solving? And we hear before we got started here that you weren't even really planning on starting this, and then they kind of turned into something much bigger than you expected.
Yeah, so I got into the industry. I thought I was going to make everything so much better for everyone. And then as I was doing transactions, what I realized was I had a few bad encounters, but as I'm a real estate agent myself, helping my friends and family through transactions, I'm running into all these other real estate agents, and they're genuinely good people trying to help their customers the best that they can and feed their family. I'm like, I can't hurt these people. They're good people. I just dealt with some of the not awesome ones. And so I had a listing, all right? So I had a listing on one of my homes, and an agent called me, and she says, hey, Steve, I just want to introduce myself to you. I'm a really honest, straightforward person. We're going to put an offer on your listing. I look forward to working with you. We're just going to make this an awesome deal because I'm just a very truthful person. I said, That's some red flags there, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to make sure my seller's protected on this one. So I checked out her transaction history, and she had this really amazing superpower of getting all homes for 10% under list price. And I'm like, uh-oh, you know what, let me give her the benefit of the doubt. And I called the last few agents that she worked with, and they said, like, Steve, you got to watch out. I'm so glad you called me so I could warn you about this agent. I wish there was an easier way for me to do that. And so me with my computer engineering background and knowing the industry, I said, you know what? I think I'll go ahead and build that for you. I'm going to build that for us to protect all of us, because I can't believe all of you don't know me, we don't work at the same brokerage, but here you are trying to protect me and my clients because you just care about people. I'm like, I want to see if I can take that energy and just expand it all around us. And so that's why I built PeerReputation. In one weekend, that happened on a Thursday, this phone call. Saturday I went over to my buddy's house, he's my CTO now. We built some stuff overnight. Monday we launched it, and we've been growing ever since. That was like 2 years ago, almost to this day.
Yeah, and what's the growth been like? Like how many users,
Yeah.
and how did that grow over time?
It's crazy. After about a year and a half, we've grown to over 60,000 users across the country in over 80 metro areas. And the adoption rate's been really crazy because, I mean, this is what we as agents want. We want more accountable industry, a better industry, and that depends on us helping each other and working together to build up our industry rather than tear it apart, which other people are trying to do.
Now, on this platform, do people get to say the good, the bad, the ugly?
Yes, all the above, but here's the way it works. Like, we're not a platform to tear people down. That's not fair. Like, I've seen how that can ruin livelihoods, and I think as real estate agents, we can grow, we can learn every day, and I don't want to take someone's ability to feed their family away. So something that you did a year ago, you can learn from, you can get better. You shouldn't be judged on something you did a year ago, and you're a totally different person today, right? And so what I do want to do, though, is provide those opportunities for improvement. So if something negative does happen, and an agent wants to talk about that, what we do is we let the agents submit that information to the broker so the broker can review it and say, hey, let's have this conversation, Grant. I heard you had a lot of trouble with e-signatures. Like, maybe I can help you out. And then your next transactions will go much more smoothly because we're helping each other get better. But the main premise for this system is to highlight the agents who are doing awesome work, high quality work. And so we're not focused on putting anyone down. When you look at people's profiles, it shows all the good things that they're doing so that we can lift up the ones that are trying to do awesome work for clients and cooperating agents.
What are some of the not so good, negative things that agents do that other agents don't like?
Ooh, I mean, you've probably heard it all. I see these things come across, and it's, you know,
What are like the most
not
common?
answering phone calls, right? Not answering emails or texts. You maybe you ratify a contract and then you disappear because you think you've done your job. The worst ones are flat out, you know, lies of not following through what you say you're going to do, right? It really matters that we can trust each other. And when I'm negotiating with someone and there's an issue of like, all right, look, our buyers and sellers are $2,000 apart. We can make this happen. I'll chip in my $2,000, like you do one, I'll do one, great, handshake. But sometimes that's not in writing, and when it gets to the final closing table, the agents will be like, I didn't sign anything. And to salvage the deal, like someone like me might say like, all right, I kept up my word, I'm just gonna go ahead and sacrifice my commission to make this happen because I care more about the clients. Some care more about themselves. And some people will let others use their keys to access things when they're not supposed to and they're not there. I see everything that you've heard, I've seen on the system. And so that's why we're trying to help those that are really reputable get ahead.
Because, you know, this is an interesting idea because I've thought, you know, of Glassdoor is something for companies where employees get to now talk about like companies. But there really is no platform for the companies to now see the good, the bad, the ugly of the employees, because sometimes the employees are also not good for companies. Mm-hmm. And so this seems to be like a really great way because, yeah, if you're not doing your part, if you're not reliable, if you're not trustworthy, if you're not responsive, and if you break some codes or ethics, then you got to be called out for it and you got to be dealt with it. So describe the process of what do they write? Do they write something? They click buttons? Like, how does an agent review basically another agent?
Yeah. So our platform is built on relationships and what you can do with them. And our relationships we measure by Like if you did a deal with someone or if someone in your office did a deal with them, then we qualify those relationships based on what we call like trust, which is the feedback between real estate agents. And so the way we get that level of trust is after a transaction closes, I email both agents that work together. Like, hey, buyer, did you like working with seller? Hey, seller, did you like working with buyer? We make it so relevant and timely, they click on it. And then from there, they say like, hey, you liked working with Grant. Would you like to leave kudos for Grant? And then they do so from there. If it's like, it wasn't a great transaction, we say, oh no, like what can Grant do better? And then they submit their feedback from there.
And it's all written?
It is all written. By default, it's anonymous, but as of about 2 months ago, agents started asking like, hey, I want Grant to know that I wrote this about them. And so we turned that on because our 60,000 users have started asking for it.
Okay.
And so that's building like even more positive relationships because now you know like who's saying nice things about you and it's paying back in dividends. It's really awesome to see.
I mean, yeah, if people get to write positive things, then that's a good thing. What about, are there any laws? Because in that scenario, there's no platform for companies to talk about employees because there's laws around, protecting like people who are employees. But independent contractors, are there any laws? Have you ever heard any or regulations or things that you have to think about to make sure this platform stays alive? Because what if it actually is creating an unfair marketplace?
Yeah, and so that's why we always want to focus on the positive because it helps you do something. It doesn't take any opportunities away from you. And you got to be very careful with slander, libel, and all that stuff. And that's why we only ever show public things. And at the same time, I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors, and I think it's Article 15 where we commit to always acting ethically and never making false or misrepresentative statements about our fellow realtors. Mm-hmm. And we strongly believe in that too. And we say don't make up stuff. You can provide your opinion, don't make up facts that aren't true and labeling someone in a way that they're not.
How do you guys make money?
Yeah. We've got subscription services for agents. So agents can pay about $10 a month, and the benefits for them, some of the things that they can do are use our system to win bidding wars, protect their sellers from bad offers through screening, exchange referrals around the country, and brokers pay us about $100 a month to help them with their recruiting and their retention.
How does it protect sellers from getting bad offers? Like if an offer is made by an agent, then they have to present it.
Oh, absolutely, but things are changing, right? I strongly believe that in the past 10 years, Zillow made consumers exceptionally smart about their own homes. And now with transparency and all this money flowing into PropTech, I think consumers are getting really smart about real estate and the entire process. And so I think part of that is they're going to get really smart about agents. And so our job now is not just to sell a home, but it's to be that consultant and advisor to the consumer. And so how do you protect them from a bad offer? So you get multiple offers, right? I might get really heavy with numbers on this one, but let's say your house is worth $500,000 and I'm listing it. You get an offer, someone says, I'll give you $550,000 and you give me $25,000 back, right? So that's like a net $525,000. And so you're ecstatic. You're like, I'm making $25,000 more, Steve, that's awesome. And I say, hold on, Grant. You got this other offer over here from what PeerReputation says is a reputable agent. It's $500,000 flat. It's what we wanted, and I know this agent's going to close the deal because other agents say they're great to work with. But you've got this other offer over here, and I'll tell you what's happened. What's going to happen? They're not a reputable agent, and sometimes people do this. The $525,000 net, here's how it's going to go. When it comes time to appraisal, your house is going to appraise exactly at $500,000. And then they're going to say, well, I want that house for $500,000. And you can't go back on the market. It's going to make you look bad. People are going to offer you less than $500,000. But they still want that $25,000 concession that they asked for. So now, if you pick that $525,000 offer, it's actually going to be $475,000. And so that's the difference that it makes to work with a good agent who can get from A all the way to Z without messing with you with any games. And that's the big difference that our platform makes, to show you which ones have been vetted by other real estate agents that have worked together.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now you, as an agent, you were #1 in volume in your first year.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I was very lucky in that regard. So mostly a lot of luck and also a lot of passion. Like I told you, even 2 years before I got into real estate, I researched everything. I didn't want to become a real estate agent. I'm a computer engineer. That was going to be my life. And so I was teaching everyone everything I knew. I was posting about it when people were going through their transactions. I was just like in their ears saying, hey, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. So 2 years into that, I had so many fans trying to recommend me, but I didn't have a license. So when I got my license, it's kind of like I was already an agent for 2 years. And so I had luck on my side and passion, and I had a lot of fans. And so when I jumped in there were about 140 agents in a local office. So it's kind of an indie firm as well too. And I was able to get #1 in sales volume because I had people just ready to give their friends and family to me.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Now, that is the power of relationships. What are your best practices for agents and brokers to build better relationships and to leverage relationships to grow their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Treat people like people. Be genuine. Be fair. You know, I try to ask people, what can I do for you, before I ever ask them, like, hey, I need you to do something for me. And so just be on the lookout for other people, and it'll pay back. Just do the right thing, and it'll return itself to you in dividends.
What are some of the ways that brokers and agents are enhancing their relationships on your platform?
Yeah, we haven't talked about the broker at all, but that's a really, really powerful piece. It's almost so powerful on the recruiting side that I almost deleted it from the platform entirely, but then I figured out a way around that. And so our platform is all about relationships. And so I thought, how can brokers leverage this relationship to improve their recruiting? Because I meet with so many brokers now, I'm like, everyone's got a different value prop. And it's always about, to me, I understand agents and brokers finding the right fit. But as an agent myself who gets enough calls of recruiting, I'm like, our guard is always up, right? So like, how can I help you as a broker that I really enjoy? Like, how can I help you get your message across? And it's about relationships, right? So when they look at our platform and they hit recruit, we only show them the agents that they've actually dealt with. So when they call someone, it's not saying like, hey, we found that you're a top producer here and we want to buy you coffee, and how would you like to double your business? I hate those phone calls. And so with our platform, instead, they might call someone and say, hey, Grant, my name's Steven. I'm the managing broker at Acme Realty. You might have remembered working with one of our agents, Mary, back on a deal in June in Toronto. She said really awesome things about you, and I wanted to personally thank you for making this a smooth co-op for Mary and her client, and just making this a pleasant process for everyone. Can I buy you a coffee to say thanks? And that's how you can apply relationships to actually get through to someone, and then maybe get your message across and see if there's a fit.
Interesting. How can people get in touch with you and check out your platform? Is it nationwide?
Yeah, we're in over 80 markets across the country. It's PeerReputation.com, P-E-E-R, like peer-to-peer. And my contact information is sw@PeerReputation.com.
Right, I'll make it nice and simple with the abbreviations, with the initials. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, man.
It was great to get to know you, and I hope if you're an agent or a broker, you get on this platform so you can build your reputation in the real estate community, because agent-to-agent referrals is like 7 to 10% of the business. All right, and if you want to get in touch and learn more technologies in real estate, I do lots of interviews with some really cool tech companies, so subscribe to the YouTube show and the podcast, and just keep following, keep listening, keep learning. Take care.